Hey there, so glad you're here. This is Reddit Stories Podcast. Relax, you're safe here. Here's our first story. Entitled woman shows up at my door at 8 a.m. demanding a cake I never agreed to make. This happened a couple of weeks ago, and I'm still kind of stunned by the whole thing. I'm a home-based baker. I do custom cakes part-time, mostly for friends, referrals, and people who contact me through my business Facebook or Instagram page. It's just me working out of my kitchen. I don't have a storefront, and I definitely don't run a 24/7 cake hotline. So it's a Saturday. I'd stayed up late the night before, preparing for a big Sunday order, and finally got to bed around 2 a.m. At around 8 a.m., I was jolted awake by loud knocking at the door. Not just a few taps, but whoever it was kept knocking like they were in a hurry. It was way too early for visitors, and I wasn't expecting anyone. I shuffled to the door in a hoodie, opened it halfway, and there was a woman I've never seen before standing on my porch, holding a cake carrier and her phone. She's already talking before I can get a word in, saying she's here to pick up the purple vanilla cake with gold flakes she ordered 2 months ago. I was so confused. See, I had been working on a vanilla cake, but it wasn't purple, and that one was for a bridal shower on Sunday. It definitely wasn't going to this woman. I asked her what name the order was under. She gives me a first name that doesn't sound familiar at all. I check my order sheet. Nothing. I check my emails. Nothing. I even checked my business page messages. Still nothing. That's when she said she messaged me through my personal Facebook, not my business page, my personal Facebook profile. Now, I don't take orders through my personal Facebook. That's clearly stated on my business pages. But apparently, she found me and got my address through a friend of a friend who ordered a cake from me like 2 years ago. Except I never saw her message. It was sitting in my message request folder, completely unread. I told her politely that I never received her order and I definitely didn't have a cake for her. She looked stunned and then started insisting that I must have seen the message and just forgotten, that I needed to take responsibility, that she already told her daughter she'd have a fancy purple birthday cake from a local artisan baker, and now she didn't know what to tell her. I tried to calmly explain that there was no confirmation, no payment, no agreed design, and no cake. I even pulled out my phone and showed her the message still marked as unread, still buried in my request folder from 2 months earlier. She never confirmed the flavor, size, or pickup time, just sent a picture and a date and assumed I'd get the memo. That's when she stepped forward onto my porch and said she wasn't leaving without her cake. At this point, I'm standing there, not fully awake, in fuzzy socks and pajama shorts, with this woman trying to stare me down like I'm hiding a tiered masterpiece in the pantry. I'd had enough. Ma'am, you need to get off my porch. This is absolutely unacceptable. Knocking on my door, giving me an attitude because you don't know how orders work, I told her. She just looked at me like she couldn't believe I'd said that. Then she muttered something about reporting me to the Small Business Bureau or something like that, and she stomped off. I shut the door, locked it, and then just stood there in the hallway for a second like, did that actually happen? Later that afternoon, I posted a short message on my business page reminding people that no order is accepted without a confirmation and a deposit, and that I don't monitor messages sent to my personal Facebook. I made it clear, again, that I need at least 72 hours notice for custom cakes. And even then, only if I respond and confirm the order. People seriously think sending one message with zero confirmation or payment magically puts a custom cake in your fridge? The entitlement is wild. She knew what she was doing, trying to guilt her way into a freebie, then playing the victim when it didn't work. Honestly, you are way more polite than most people would have been. If this happened in certain parts of the South, it probably wouldn't have ended with just a step off my porch. What blows my mind is that she never even got a reply, but she still showed up on someone's property with a cake carrier like it was already hers. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a full-on assumption based on zero communication. Some people really think I sent a message once is the same as placing an order. Glad you stood your ground. So let me get this straight. You messaged a stranger on Facebook, got no reply, and then you showed up at her door 2 months later expecting a custom cake? She should have checked her messages. That's just bad customer service. Karen, You never even placed an order. I sent a photo. It's basically the same thing. No, that's basically spam. Well, I already promised my daughter that cake. Next time, just promise her a unicorn. It's just as real. Am I the jerk for calling out my aunt after she shared a graphic photo of my injury with the whole family group chat? I'm 15, and a few weeks ago, my family went on a vacation with some extended relatives. It was meant to be a simple getaway, just a few days out of town, nothing fancy. For the most part, it was fun, until the last day. We were packing up to head back when I slipped on a wet tile near the pool and ended up with a really nasty gash down my leg. It was deep, bleeding, and honestly, one of the most painful things I've ever experienced. My mom rushed me to the nearest clinic. They cleaned it, disinfected it, and I got stitched up. It was bad enough that the nurse had to help hold my leg steady while they treated it. While this was happening, my mom took a few photos of the injury. Not to be weird, just in case she needed to send them to another doctor or check how it was healing later. I was kind of out of it, but I didn't think much of it at the time. Later that night, my aunt, who hadn't been with us when the injury happened, started blowing up my mom's phone. Apparently, she had heard bits and pieces from other relatives and was panicking, thinking it was something even more serious. To help calm her down, my mom forwarded one of the photos of my leg so she'd stop imagining something worse. That probably should have been the end of it, but a few hours later, I got a ping from our extended family group chat. Cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. About 15 people total. My aunt had posted the photo in the group, along with the caption, "Vacation scars," laughing emoji. I saw it almost immediately, and I was upset. The photo wasn't just a bruise or a scrape. It was a full close-up of my raw, stitched-up leg while they were still cleaning it. Blood, gauze, the whole thing. No warning, just out there like it was a funny story. I asked her to delete it right away. She responded saying everyone already knew about the injury. It was just family, and it's just your leg. So apparently privacy didn't matter. I told her it wasn't just about privacy. It was about basic decency. I didn't consent to that photo being shared with anyone else. I definitely didn't consent to it being sent to the group chat as some sort of a joke. She brushed it off. So yeah, I went off on her. I told her it was insensitive, that she made something painful into entertainment, and that she always finds a way to make everything about herself. Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that, but I was already humiliated and upset, and she just doubled down. Since then, she's been acting like I'm the one who hurt her. She's barely spoken to me or my mom since, except for one group call where she dropped a passive-aggressive comment about how the younger generation has no sense of family loyalty anymore. Then she got choked up and said something about how we don't love her like we used to. Even my grandparents are taking her side. They said I should have been more understanding, that she was just worried and didn't mean anything by it. My mom's caught in the middle, but when we talked about it privately, she admitted that it was probably a generation gap thing. In our family, and honestly in our culture, respecting your elders is considered a kind of ultimate rule, which really just means you're expected to stay quiet and never confront them, no matter what they do. I don't hate my aunt. I actually used to be really close to her. But since this happened, every conversation feels weird. We talk less. The few times we do, it's awkward and shallow. I get the sense she's waiting for me to apologize, but I don't see what I'm supposed to be sorry for. I never expected her to treat me like an equal, but I didn't expect her to treat my injury like a punchline either. I've been second-guessing if maybe I should have handled it more gently. I'm not trying to cause family drama. I just didn't think I should have to quietly accept being put on display for everyone's entertainment. So, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. This was a clear violation of your privacy, and your aunt is only proving the point by throwing a fit when she didn't get her way. It doesn't matter if it was just your leg. It was a medical issue, and only you get to decide who sees it. Sharing graphic injury pics without consent isn't just rude to the person in the photo. It's also inconsiderate to everyone else in the group chat who probably didn't want to see that either. Her feelings about being called out? That's her problem, not yours. You're the jerk. I get that privacy matters, but honestly, this whole post screams entitlement. Your aunt was worried about you. Your mom sent her the photo to calm her down, and she shared it with family. Not strangers, not social media, just the people who care about you. And now you're blowing it up like it's some massive betrayal. This generation treats every minor slight like a federal offense. Maybe instead of going off, you could have said thanks to the people who are actually concerned about your well-being. It's no wonder so many young people feel isolated. Everyone's so focused on boundaries and consent that they forget what it means to be part of a family. Not everything is an attack. Some people just care.
Probably not the best idea to drop a pic like that in the middle of a family group chat. Some of us were eating.
Yeah, love and concern are great, but maybe without the medical slideshow next time.
Exactly. A simple, she's okay now, would have done the job just fine.
Am I the jerk for wanting to uninvite my sister-in-law from my wedding because she keeps undermining my planning? My fiancé, Nate, who's 27, and I, 26 female, have been together for almost 3 years. He proposed to me about 6 months ago, and shortly after, we found out I was pregnant. We're planning to have our wedding in the spring of next year. Nate has a twin sister who we'll call Kayla, 27 female. Nate and I announced our engagement and my pregnancy at the same time. We made a cute little Facebook post with a couple of engagement pics and an ultrasound photo that said something along the lines of, "The Smith family is going to have 2 new additions." Kayla commented almost immediately that we'd have to wait until next year to actually get married because she looks best in fall colors, and as my maid of honor, she'd get a say in choosing bridesmaids' dresses. I literally stared at my phone, wondering if I'd read something wrong. I showed the comment to Nate and asked him why she thought she'd be my maid of honor. He had no clue, so I texted her, and this is how that exchange went. Me: "Hey Kayla, I saw your comment on our announcement. Thank you for being ready to step up, but we haven't started working out wedding logistics yet. I haven't picked my bridesmaids, much less my maid of honor. Once we figured things out, we'll let you know."
Kayla: "Well, you don't have to choose a maid of honor anymore. I'm your maid of honor."
Me: "I don't understand. I never asked you to be."
Kayla: "You don't have to ask. That's what makes me such a good sister."
Me: I'm sorry. You're not my maid of honor."
"We'll see about that."
I showed the messages to Nate, who said that he'd deal with it. I have no idea what he said to her, but Kayla never brought up being my maid of honor again. Instead, her attitude showed up in other ways. Right now, Nate and I have booked the venue, caterer, florals, decorations, and a DJ. A couple of months ago, I invited both our moms and my sister, Sam, who I asked to be my maid of honor, to go dress shopping. Kayla found out through her mom and invited herself. We started by looking for a dress for Sam. I wanted my bridesmaids in a soft pastel yellow, with Sam's being a more golden tone. Kayla would not shut up about how yellow is such an ugly color and insisted I go with pink or blue instead. She even grabbed pink and blue dresses to try on herself. I tried to ignore her while her mom humored her. Sam and my mom kept commenting that it was my wedding and that if Kayla wasn't going to be helpful, she should leave. Unfortunately, she didn't, and I was too nice to kick her out in front of my mother-in-law, with whom I already have a strained relationship. Our moms were able to find their dresses with little interference, but as soon as I started trying things on, Kayla had all sorts of things to say. She said certain styles wouldn't look good once I had a baby bod, and even suggested I shouldn't wear white since I've obviously lost my V-card. I reminded her that she didn't have her V-card when she got married either, yet she wore a white sundress to the courthouse. She grumbled that it wasn't the same, but I was already walking back to the changing room. I don't know what happened while I was in there, but when I came out, Kayla and my mother-in-law were gone, and Sam had a smug smile on her face. I avoided discussing wedding details with Kayla whenever I could, but I overheard Nate sharing some of our plans with her. He told her we were going with a buffet-style meal because of all the dietary restrictions in both of our families, and because it's much more affordable, literally several $1,000s cheaper. She told him he deserved someone who wouldn't go cheap on his wedding, even though the buffet was his idea. He told her about our venue choices. He picked the reception venue. I picked the ceremony site. Mine is the same place my parents got married. My father passed away, and since he can't walk me down the aisle, getting married in the same place felt like the closest I could get to having him there. She told Nate that my venue choice was tacky and that people would make fun of us. When he mentioned wanting a DJ, she made a snide comment about how I clearly wasn't classy enough to want a live band. Every time she said things like this, Nate would tell her that they were his ideas, but he never called her out for how she spoke about me. I told him that hurts. He said he had tried to be better about it, but that she's always been like this. I told him that's not an excuse for disrespect, especially when it's about something that doesn't even concern her. He hesitantly agreed. Then on Friday, I got an email from our ceremony venue confirming a cancellation. Minutes later, I got a voicemail from our caterer saying my new wedding planner had called to make changes, but the line dropped and they needed a callback to finish updating the menu. I immediately emailed the venue saying no, we're not canceling or rescheduling. Please keep our original date. I called the caterer, who explained a woman had just called saying she was our new wedding planner and that I wanted to switch from buffet to plated meals. I told him that absolutely was not the case. I don't have a wedding planner. I asked that no changes be made unless the request came directly from me or Nate, using the contact info on file. The caterer offered to put a password on our account, which we did. I called both venues and every vendor to put the same protection in place. All of them were sympathetic. One even said, "Wow, I'm sorry you're going through this." When Nate got home, I confronted him. I told him someone tried to cancel our venue and change our catering. The only person it could have been was Kayla. He tried to deny it at first, saying she wouldn't go that far. But I reminded him of how she's undermined and insulted me at every step. I told him I wanted her uninvited. Someone who's already made this wedding as stressful as possible doesn't need an opening to show up in white and make things even worse. He pushed back, but I told him that he was the one disrespecting me now by letting her get away with it. I'm his partner. I'm carrying his child. My feelings should come before his sister's opinions. We met with her for lunch earlier today. Once dessert came, Nate asked if she had tried to make changes to our wedding plans. She said, and I quote,
"Well, yeah, it's the maid of honor's job to make sure the bride is making the right decisions."
Before Nate could say anything, I told her she is not my maid of honor, and even if she were, that doesn't give her the authority to go behind our backs, make decisions, or touch our budget. She said she didn't see the big deal, since her grandmother offered a generous gift to help with wedding costs. I told her again that the wedding budget is none of her business. She tried to argue, but I cut her off. I told her that her behavior has been nothing but disrespectful and that trying to cancel my venue crossed the line. I told her she was no longer invited to the wedding. She looked stunned. Then she looked at Nate, waiting for him to defend her. And he did. He looked at me and said, "Why don't we give her one more chance?" I asked if he was serious. He said yes, that she was only doing what she thought was best, and now that we had told her it wasn't okay, we should give her a chance to fix it. I didn't even respond. I just got up and left. I drove home thinking if he wants to side with her, he can ask her for a ride. At home, I packed a small bag and went to my sister Sam's. I told her everything, and she said I could stay as long as I needed. But now she's at work for the night, and here I am sitting with it all, trying to figure out when I became second place in Nate's life, trying to figure out if there's a way to fix what just broke in me. He keeps switching between texting apologies and saying he didn't think it was that big of a deal. He's asking me to come home and talk, but I'm not ready. I'm too upset, and I don't want to say something I'll regret, like calling off the wedding entirely. I just told all our vendors that we're not canceling the wedding, but right now, I kind of want to. I don't know if it's the hormones making me feel crazy or if I'm valid for being this hurt. I don't know what to think. So, am I the jerk for not wanting to give her a second chance? Or is my fiancé right that she deserves one more shot before being uninvited altogether? Not the jerk. You're in the right, and I think a wedding cancellation, or at least a delay, is in order until he can show you that you come before his sister. His sister tried to change the venue that was meaningful to you because it was a reminder of your father. To cancel that over anything else isn't just over the line, it's cruel. You gave him many chances to get her in line. He failed. One thing I would recommend if you do go forward with him is that when meeting with her, let him take the lead, even if you don't agree with what he's saying. It will be the biggest indicator of his mindset and ensures that she doesn't, and can't, blame you for the boundaries he is placing. I know it's scary, But you're better off setting boundaries now than dealing with bigger issues later. What Kayla did wasn't just inappropriate, it was disrespectful and dangerous, especially with you being pregnant. Her past pain doesn't excuse her sabotaging your wedding, insulting your body, or trying to cancel a venue chosen to honor your dad. It's not normal to need passwords for your vendors because of your fiance's sister. At some point, he has to wake up and realize this isn't just her being dramatic, it's harmful. You deserve more than to come second to his sister's ego. I get it, a twin bond is special, but it's not a license to bulldoze your relationship. At what point will he finally draw the line? What more has to happen for him to see that this is not okay? Update. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who read my original post and offered their thoughts and advice. Writing everything out really helped me process what I was feeling, and hearing that I wasn't overreacting or just being hormonal from people outside the situation was a huge comfort. I read every single comment, and there's no way to express how much the kind words meant to me. A lot of people asked for an update, but I wanted to wait until after I had talked to Nate. I spent the night at Sam's house and mostly ignored Nate's calls and messages. Kayla texted once, telling me not to let my hormones make me irrational. I blocked her. But someone suggested I unblock and silence her instead so I could save anything she sends in case it helps with custody. I unblocked her earlier today. I'm glad I did, but we'll get to that. Last night, I eventually replied to Nate. I let him know I was safe at Sam's and that I'd be home after work to talk. I told him again how hurt I felt by not being heard or backed up and that I needed time to think. He asked if I was thinking about canceling the wedding. I said yes, that's exactly what I was considering. He replied, "Don't let your hormones make you do something irrational. We'll talk tomorrow." Anyone want to guess where he got that line from? That pretty much made my decision for me. I didn't reply. Before I went to bed, I sent him a link to my original post and told him to read it before we talked. Someone mentioned he probably sent it to Kayla too. If she did read it, she didn't comment. And if she texted me, I didn't see it while she was blocked. This morning, I called in to work and had breakfast with Sam. She gave me the number of a family lawyer her friend used. I called and explained the situation, and luckily, they had an opening after lunch for a consult. I took a shower and spent the morning reading more comments until it was time. I explained everything to the lawyer, how I'm leaving Nate, how I'm scared of his sister's influence, and how I don't trust him to put our baby first. I said I wanted to fight for sole custody and supervised visitation and, if possible, restrict Kayla from having any contact with my child. She told me that while my concerns are valid, it might be hard to convince a judge to put a contact restriction in place based on family drama alone. She advised me to document everything from now on. She gave me a list of things to think about: custody, medical decisions, communication rules, visitation boundaries, stuff I never imagined having to plan alone. I scheduled an in-person meeting for Friday to go over everything. I'm still processing, but if anyone has experience or advice on what to include in custody paperwork, I'm open to hearing it. After the call, I took a nap. When I woke up, Nate had texted asking what time I'd be off work so he could have dinner ready. I said I'd be home by 5, but if Kayla was there, I'd turn around and leave. I also asked if he read the post I sent. His response, "I did, but I'd rather talk to you than read you bash me and my sister on the internet with a bunch of strangers. Don't worry, I told Kayla she's not welcome." That told me everything I needed. Either he didn't read the post, or he still doesn't get how serious this is. Either way, I was done. I replied, "Don't worry about dinner. I'm just coming to pack a few more things and leave my lawyer's contact info. There's nothing more to discuss." He asked what lawyer, what I meant, said he had been waiting to talk. I just said fine. Sam wished me luck and reminded me her place was still open to me. I thanked her and headed home, stopping to get one of those Starbucks boba refreshers just to calm my nerves. When I got home, Nate had dinner ready like he said. I ignored him, went to our room, and started packing. He tried talking to me, but I didn't say a word. Seeing his face made my blood boil, and I didn't want to say anything I'd regret. After a while, he gave up and went to eat alone. Once I finished packing, I sat across from him at the table. I started a voice memo on my phone and said, "Go ahead." He looked confused, so I told him he was the one who wanted to talk, so go ahead. He fumbled through an apology, saying he didn't realize I was this upset. I asked if he remembered how I cried after dress shopping because of Kayla's comments, if he remembered having to tell her she wasn't my maid of honor, if he remembered our talk about my venue and how important it was to me. He said yes each time and tried to add a but I didn't let him. I kept going. I told him he should have known I was done with her, and instead of backing me up, he wanted to give her another chance? For what? To cancel our DJ next? Show up in white? Dye my dress red? He said she'd never do that. I reminded him he also said she'd never cancel my venue, and she did, in front of both of us. I asked why he even told her so much about our wedding. Why did her opinion matter? He tried to say Kayla never got a real wedding and was just excited. I said she can be excited all she wants, but that doesn't give her the right to insult or change anything. If she wants a wedding so bad, she can go find someone to marry, whoever that poor person may be. Then I asked him, what's next? Does she get to name our baby too? He looked stunned. Then he said,
Actually, Kayla does have a few ideas for names that we can name our daughter.
Daughter? We agreed not to find out the gender. We picked 3 names for each, but we were keeping it a surprise. I asked if he said daughter, and he looked like a deer in headlights. Eventually, he admitted he had called my OB office, used the release form I signed, and got the results. Said he told them we changed our minds, and he wanted to surprise me. Said Kayla was upset Sam was planning the baby shower and couldn't wait to know the gender. I felt sick, violated. I asked what else he went behind my back to do. Did he give Kayla the idea to act like our wedding planner? Was he involved in canceling the venue? He said no, but I didn't believe him. I knew he was lying. At that point, I didn't even care. I knew nothing about this wedding had been ours. I didn't want to think about how many decisions we had made that were secretly changed by the 2 of them. I asked him to imagine if Kayla were telling him all this, that her partner had done these things behind her back, that her partner let a sibling bully her. What would he tell her? He didn't answer. I knew what that meant. I told him that as the woman he's supposed to marry, I and the baby I'm carrying should come first, that what he did with the gender reveal was unforgivable. I said I wasn't marrying him. If he wanted to use our vendors for another wedding, he was welcome to marry Kayla instead. He tried apologizing, explaining, but I didn't let him. I told him he'd need therapy and serious boundaries with Kayla if he ever hoped to have a relationship with me or his daughter. I said all contact moving forward would be through my lawyer. Then I left my lawyer's info on the table and walked out. He didn't follow me. So now, on top of everything else, I'm wondering if I need to file a complaint with my OB's office. Is it legal for them to release the gender just because he's on the info form? I'll bring that up with my lawyer Friday. I'm glad I recorded our talk. I've already sent the audio to my lawyer. I'm back at Sam's now. She was working when I got in, but I texted her to wake me up when she gets home. I need my sister. I also told my mom everything. She cried with me, then asked what I needed. I asked if she and Sam could get the rest of my stuff from the house. I don't want to see Nate. Just picturing his face makes me sick. She said of course. Kayla did message me again. I'm guessing Nate told her what happened. It was a long, nasty rant. I won't share the whole thing, but she called me a control freak, mocked my venue again, and said she hopes my baby is stillborn. I expected it to hurt, but it just made me laugh. I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer. So that's where we're at. The wedding is off. Tomorrow I'll call the vendors and see if I can get any deposits back. If not, I'll let them deal with Nate and Kayla. They can throw their own party for all I care, but I'll be canceling my venue regardless. I won't let either of them step foot in that sacred place. I didn't realize just how heavy this all was until now. Writing it out helps so much. I may not do another formal update, but I might treat this account like a journal while everything unfolds. Thank you again for the support and for helping me see that I'm not crazy. Not the jerk. I'm glad you're not going through with the wedding. It was also very smart of you to record your conversation with Nate. Please follow your attorney's instructions. I hope you can move back in with your mom or stay with your sister for now. Kayla is unhinged, and you need to consider putting up security cameras for your safety. It might even be worth moving out of state to increase your chances of getting full custody of your daughter. Revoke any medical information releases and set up password protection for your records. Nate likely knows your date of birth and possibly your social security number. I'm really proud of you. So Karen, you ever get so caught up in someone else's wedding that you forget it's not yours?
Maybe I just wanted it to be perfect. For me. I mean, for them.
It's easy to lose yourself when you're hurting, but trying to take over someone else's life doesn't heal your own.
I just thought if I could fix everything around them, maybe I'd feel less broken.
Sometimes the bravest thing is stepping back, letting people live their own story.
Even if it means that I don't get to be part of the ending?
Especially then. That's all for now, but don't be blue. We'll be back soon with more stories for you. Remember to listen to Mr. Redder every night, so your dreams will be wonderful like you are and bright. Now click this playlist, come follow along. We'll be right here. Until then, so long.